Hi, welcome to Plant Today with Amy Ray. Today we're going to have a little garden update and then we're going to be planting some seeds. Let's go. For any of you that saw my last video on the jasmine massacre, as you can see, it's been a few weeks, I guess, and the jasmine has already flushed back beautifully. There's a few bald spots, but it won't take it long. But at least now you can see that pretty crisscross pattern. It's nice and green. Beautiful. And then I'm still getting some serious weeds. I think when I pulled up a lot of things, it stirred up all that weed seed that was in there. So next to the sedum, there's tons of weeds. And I even pulled up a bunch yesterday. The Super Tutti bubblegum is as big and beautiful as ever. It rained hard the past 2 days, so they're looking a little beat up, but they're doing great. And then the Super Tutti Bordeaux that was here is also doing really well. All the salvia is doing well. I am having some spider mite damage done to this one back here, as well as my angel trumpet has spider mite damage. So I have been treating with neem oil about once every few days. It seems to be helping. I'm not seeing the webbing anymore inside, so hopefully it's on its road to recovery. But it's grown a ton since we planted it here. And then all that sedum that I just said I threw on the ground, it is rooted. Most of it is rooted, and it's all going to start growing around there. So everything seems to be doing relatively well. Even all that sedum I threw back there. Doing great. So I'll give you a quick tour of what's going on in the garden. So these are my cucumbers. I have two different varieties here. One's just a burpless hybrid, and the other one's a smaller variety. I don't think I have the tag anymore. Anyway, these are doing really well. I do try to hand pollinate when I can. This is actually I need to pick this guy right now. The first full grown cucumber I've had from these. The one on the left I grew from seed, and the one on the right I bought as a transplant. And the one on the left was a very slow start, and I thought it would never produce, but it is pretty much the same size as the one on the right. But the transplant definitely took over most of this trellis. So I've been pruning off some of the runners. So if you see, some of this I could prune off. I could probably trim it about right here, just because there's nowhere left for this to go. And I've tried to, continue to wrap around as much as I can, but I'm gonna probably prune a lot of it off so the plant can focus more on the cucumbers that are already here. And it'll still throw off runners. So I have a little bit of lettuce left that's all pretty much spent. I have an eggplant, which is blooming currently. A few strawberries there. This is my little pepper area. These are green bell peppers. I have a few starting here. This one is the candy cane variety. Okay, and next we have some oregano, and this is Cuban oregano. Very pretty and variegated. I really bought it for the looks. I have a couple of those. And my rosemary, which is going nuts. I try to trim that back once every few weeks. I'll cut a few inches off of it. This is a thornless blackberry that I have on this trellis. It did not bloom yet this year. Not sure if this is going to be the year it blooms or if it'll be next year. We'll see. I'm dealing with white flies on this guy, so I've been spraying with neem oil once a week. I have a avocado in that pot. That has never produced yet. It's a couple years old. This bed I have sweet potatoes. I pulled up all my strawberries and transplanted some of those, and now I have some sweet potatoes growing. I did plant several, let's see, I had 1, 2, 3, 4 in this bed, and a couple of them died off. So we'll see. I think I have 3 plants going here now. Still have a cherry tomato here. It got so tall I had it tied up, but now it's just falling over. It's still somewhat producing. I had yanked all the leaves off the bottom of it, but it's still flowering, so I'll let it go as long as it will. So this is where I had my thorned blackberry, and I had 2 zucchini plants, and both of the zucchini plants got the squash vine borer. Even though I had it covered for most of its life, I uncovered it about a month and a half ago because it was getting so big. I had netting over it and it was just way too big for the netting. So I'll have to come up with a better solution next season. And then the thorned blackberry, if you would remember, it went all the way over here, wrapped around this trellis. It was huge and beautiful. It produced great for me this season, but I've gotten some kind of fungus, and so I'm pretty sure it's just like leaf spot, and so I had to prune off all that had flowered and bloomed. Now granted, that wouldn't ever flower again anyway, so it was gonna get cut off once it died back. So now we're left with this cane that hasn't produced yet, so these will all be my producers next season. These are my 3 blueberries. I have a 4th right there. They are just petering out on their production and turning into a lighter green, and eventually in the fall they're going to be kind of a red. See how these leaves are turning red? Reddish color, really pretty. I'm going to go ahead and take the netting off, and next season I will have a PVC set up to cover them. Should be much nicer. So here I have a watermelon growing on this trellis. I planted several watermelon seeds here, and this is the only one that came up. And then on this side I have cantaloupe. I planted this cantaloupe in, gosh, I think April, and I don't know why the growth is so stunted, but it has not done hardly anything. I was really hoping by the end of summer this whole trellis would be full of cantaloupes and watermelons, but for whatever reason they're just not growing like I want them to. This one's starting to take off, so we'll see. This bed I have my fall mums from last year that I pruned back all the way to the nubs, and now this is what they look like. My dahlias that are on the edge here are pretty much all spent, and I'll be cutting those back soon. Then I still have some carrots left in this bed that I haven't harvested yet, but they're fine there until I'm ready to eat them. This is a cucamelon that was doing beautifully, but now it kind of looks diseased. I've also been spraying this with neem oil, but it's just sad. And it has yet to produce anything. I've never grown cucamelons before, so I just wanted to try it out. Every now and then I'll see some blooms, but nothing ever produces. And I would hand pollinate it if I could find a male and female, but I can't. This yellow squash has given me 1 squash. The vine borer got the other one I had in this bed. So we'll see if it's still going to produce anything. I have some Jubilee watermelon here that is very, very sick. From the beginning, it started splitting at the stem, so I kept piling soil on top, hoping to save it. But now It's just, and I've sprayed it with neem oil. I just don't know what else to do for it. I was hoping at least one of these stems would be saved, and they might make it, but I'm gonna put some more soil on there. So my goal for today is to start some seeds. I have a whole new setup with lights, grow lights in my garage that I'll show you. And I'm so excited because I've never had grow lights before, and I've always wanted to try to start my seeds indoors, because when I start seeds outdoors, a lot of times the squirrels get them, they mess with the soil. So I'm going to get my supplies ready. So I'm starting out with filling the little seed pods with Jiffy's seed starting mix. You want to use a fluffy seed starting mix when working with seeds because regular potting soil can be a little too thick for them. Now I'm just going to moisten the soil with some water. You can pre-moisten it before you stick it into the little pods, but I just like to do it this way. First seed I'm going to do is my salad bowl lettuce. I had some of this planted outside, but I'm going to plant as much of it as I can under my grow lights, so hopefully I will just be able to eat from the garage. There's so many seeds in here. Lettuce is one of the easiest things that I've found to grow from seed, even outside. Okay, so I did 4 total rows of lettuce, and I'm going to start from this side, and if I have any rows left over, I'll add more lettuce. Next I'm going to do some blue fescue ornamental grass. This takes full sun to part shade. I've never grown this before, but I plan to put it out in my front yard. Itty bitty seeds. So I'm going to try to do about 3 to 4 seeds in each cell. So I have 2 rows left here in the middle. I'm going to do some alyssum. So I plan to put this in my front yard. It's a pretty carpet of color is what they say, so I'm hoping it'll be like a ground cover. Look how tiny that is. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I've got all the seeds a little moist. Now I'm going to cover it with some more seed starting mix just to barely cover the seeds. Then I'll give it another spritz of spray. So here I moved on to some bigger seed pods to work with some bigger plants. Okay, first we've got mini harvest pumpkins, cute little mini pumpkins, which should be a variety of colors. Then next we have Halloween pumpkin blend, which is the larger jack-o'-lantern style pumpkin, but white and orange. Next we have black creme tomatoes. These are an heirloom variety of tomato that I've heard really great things about. I've never grown them. Next we have muncher cucumbers, your typical purplish muncher cucumber. Next we have beefsteak tomatoes, which I just happen to have, same thing with the cucumber in these, I just happen to have seeds already, so that's what I'm planting. And then finally we have hibiscus, Luna white hibiscus, which these seeds I harvested from my own hibiscus that flowered, and they dried up and had seed pods, so I figured, hey, why not, let me try it. So I harvested the seeds and popped them in there. Okay, so I've got my first row done. This is rainbow coleus, looks like this. The very first row that I did, I used non-pelleted seeds, so you can't even see them. They were literally the world's tiniest seeds. But now I'm going to use pelleted seeds. So these have a coating on them, so it makes it easier to see. I'm probably gonna put about 5 in each pod. I just sprinkled some of the seed starting mix on top, just because they only need to be planted about 1/8 of an inch deep, and it's kind of hard with these little pellets to like shove the seeds in there because it's pretty packed. And so I just like to drizzle, or however you call it, like sprinkle some seed starting mix just straight over the top. And now I will water them in. I like to use this little sprayer, but you can just water them regularly as well. All right, I've got all my seed trays planted, and this is my new grow light system that I set up yesterday. I already had these shelves from IKEA in here. It was full of junk, so I moved the junk and got these grow lights on Amazon. They're regular shop lights, but I did research on how high the lumens and kelvins and all that jazz needed to be. I'll post all that information in the, what's it called?
Description below.
Right. I'll post all that information in the description below. So links to the Amazon shop lights and what you really need to look for when you are buying shop lights. But I wanted the kind that I could just plug into the wall. I have these plugged into a timer set to 18 hours. So they're turned on at 5 a.m. in the morning and turn off at 11 p.m. Right now when the seeds are germinating, some of these need light to germinate, others don't. So I'm just putting them all under light to make it easier on myself. I wanted to make sure that all the seed pods have plenty of light, and so I have them kind of spaced to where they can all get good light. This specific tray didn't come with a dome, and so it said to just cover it in some plastic wrap, which I did. All of these are nice and moist, so I shouldn't need to mist them anytime soon, but I have my little hand mister. I'll come out here every couple days to check to make sure that things aren't dried out. Once I start to see some leaves, I will prop the domes open for about a day and then eventually take them completely off, and then put a fan in here. I'll put an oscillating fan to kind of give some wind, 1, to keep away the mold, and 2, to strengthen the seedlings to be adapted to the regular world, which they will have wind, so it'll make them stronger. So right now we just sit and wait.